At the risk of sounding pretentious, Voltaire once said, famous French philosopher, that God is not on the side of the biggest armies. He's on the side of the best shots. Now, what he meant by that and how he applied that, I don't know, because I've only just heard it as a quote. But the way I want to apply it is to think about where we're targeting our passion, where we're targeting our desire for change. Most of the desire for change that people talk about is for their own economic need. So basically, where do I get more money from? And if we're advocating on each other's behalf, it's about me becoming me and getting to do the things that I want. You may kind of go, that's a bit harsh. But at the root of all kind of liberation for various sexual predilections and backgrounds, for women's rights, men's rights, my rights, somebody else's rights, is self-autonomy, my need and desire to do what I want to do, to have the freedoms that I deserve. And there's nothing wrong with any of that, for each person to be free to be who they truly are. But most of what needs to be said and done is on behalf of those who cannot speak for themselves. And I don't think the history books will look kindly on us for the things that we miss. If you look around the world and take the issue of racism, which has come up recently, the nations with the biggest race problems we're not even talking about. The places of greatest poverty we're not addressing. The nations where women are truly subjugated, we're not putting pressure on. If you want to see a place where prejudice, racism, abuse, all the worst of society just happens all the time and everyone allows it to happen, well, just go on Pornhub. It's all there. It's disgusting. It's abuse. There's videos of people being abused with adverts attached and nobody saying anything. Let's go to a bigger scale. The way trade is done across the world is utterly unfair on our behalf. But we'd rather argue for somebody who is wealthy in many, many ways to be able to express themselves in the perfect way that they want to. Now, I'm not saying that one is pointless and one is pointful and important. But I'm saying we are obsessed with our own individual desires and needs. And the true human freedom comes when we put those in the most need first. And it's messy and it's difficult. But back to Voltaire, there's whole armies fighting for certain kinds of justice. But there are very few pointing their guns in the direction of the greatest injustices of our age. So who do you want to be? Do you want to be in the army that feels good? Or do you want to point your power to change and bring change and be change at the things that are truly the biggest problems? Who's setting your agenda? And who could be setting your agenda? I believe in a Spirit of God who guides me into truth. And I am deeply imperfect, and I'm not just right because I have that. But I want to point my power to bring justice at the most important targets, rather than just following the crowd towards the targets everyone thinks we should be looking at. What do you think?